What's going on, everybody? Happy New Year. I hope that you're doing well. I hope you didn't go crazy with your, families and all of that. It could be stressful. But I know I hope you had a really, really good holiday. It's 2024 and it's time for the goals show. I'm all out of sorts. It's Wednesday night, not the usual Tuesday night. I just had almost 2 weeks straight of family, in-laws here at the house, different ones coming and going, but straight ahead. Everybody left this morning. So I'm digging out of being like out of my routine. My rodent room and snake room are all out of whack. I got dishes over there still to get done, but the animals are good. I got everybody fed over the past couple nights. I've been working late at night when everybody else is asleep and relaxing so that I could stay on top of things. And last night, the farewell dinner ended up being scheduled. And, as the son-in-law, I don't get a lot of say in the deal. So thankfully, Stephen was amenable to switching to Wednesday night. I thank you all, the audience, for being here and bearing with me on the scheduling. But this is a show I look forward to every year. And I can't believe that this show, I got to give a whole lot of thanks, man. I can't believe the show is still here. This is our third annual goals episode. Proper Royals channel is continuing to exist and thrive. And truthfully, it's from the support of you all. So thanks very, very much. I don't take any of that for granted, and I'm pretty excited for it. We're going to get moving tonight. I got a lot to get to, and I'll tell you the truth too. I can't put up too much facade. I'm just chalking it up to being exhausted, but I'm not feeling so hot. I feel like I got the sniffles. That's the last thing that you want to hear is somebody sniffling all night into the microphone, right? So I'm going to try and watch it and keep an eye on it, but I am excited for the show, and we will get through it. I got Stephen from Leviathansnakes here. If you haven't seen the show before, we're going to look back on last year's goals from the last year's goals video. We'll talk about if we made those or missed those. And then, of course, we'll deep dive into this upcoming year's goals, talk about why we have those goals, why we think they're important, and kind of what makes us tick and how we're going to accomplish those goals. So that is the show tonight. Stick around. Happy 2024. A couple of very, very quick announcements. Tomorrow morning at the normal time will be the Proper Cup of Joe show. That's myself and my good buddy Joe. He's not a reptile guy. He doesn't own reptiles. He's not into snakes. And we kind of navigate our way through life like all of us do on a daily basis with reptile and non-reptile people, So it's kind of a fun show. Come check it out if you haven't seen that before. 7:30 a.m. on the East Coast Live. You can check it on the replay anytime that you want. I will be at the La Crosse, Wisconsin Scaled Up Expo show on Saturday. They've been on Sundays up until now. For some reason, this one's on Saturday. I prefer it that way. We got playoff football it's not playoff, but it's pretty close to playoff. A lot of the games may as well be a playoff. So I'm excited to be home instead of out on the road on Sunday. Come see me in La Crosse, Wisconsin. Assuming that this feeling I'm having is nothing but tired and exhaustion, I'll be ready to go. I will not go if I'm ill. I promise you that. But otherwise, I will be there. Come out and come hang out if you're in the area. They do a great job. That's Scaled Up Expos show. I'll be there for that. And then Thursday night, I'll have to find the link and I'll post it on Instagram when I do have it. I'll be on with Diego from Pet Sotics podcast, 5:00 p.m. Thursday evening, Eastern time. And I think that the topic is aquarium and reptile people kind of reaching out and branching and bridging that gap, if there is any gap. I don't know. I know there's a lot of overlap. I don't know about you all. I started with fish. I was up to about 200 gallons of cichlids at one point across 5 or 6 tanks. And that kind of wore off. And that was right at the time that ball pythons were entering my life, and that all kind of exploded and clearly has taken off and done just fine. But anyway, come hang out. Pet Sotics, that's with Diego on Thursday night at 5 p.m. Eastern. I'll be his guest on that show, along with a couple other, I think it's a panel show. I think there's 3 or 4 or 5 of us. So that's what I got. I got obviously, Tuesday night show. Next Tuesday is going to be Charlie from Gray Rider Reptiles, shedtesting.com. He is one of the sponsors But we're going to do a Shed Test Tuesday episode. I sent a bunch of sheds into him, and he's going to let me know what the sheds say, what the genetic testing say. Are they do they have the genes? Do they not? There's a couple that I want to see. You know, we'll get into it. Like I said, I don't want to waste too much time on announcements tonight, but Charlie's going to hang out. We'll hear a little bit more about what he's got going on and investments he's made to serve you all and the customers better. So come hang out on that. Following week, we got Mike from Herp Collectors. And the following week after that, I believe, is Kyle from Kyle's Reptiles. So you'll see all the announcements on Instagram and everything. I think that's it. I do these shows with Steven. Steven and I don't know, we've always hit it off. He's incredibly insightful, very smart guy. He and his wife, Courtney, both of them together are Leviathan Snakes. And they've both been just fantastic to me over a couple of years now of a good solid friendship. But we also kind of got started at the same time, and we took different paths, and we've both kind of gone our own way and have strong opinions about going our own way. And I'm happy to say that we're both here, but he's always been a huge support to me and someone I could call on to do these shows. As a matter of fact, funny story, I pitched him to be a co-host permanently on this show. It was the first rejection that the show ever had. I've had many more along the way, whether it be sponsors or guests. But he definitely broke the seal on that for me. But I'm glad to have him back. He's been on the show many, many times. You all know him, Stephen from Leviathan Snakes. Please welcome back to the Proper Royal stage. Stephen, what's going on?
What's up, friends? Chat, everybody. The chat's popping off already. And it's on a Wednesday, not on your regular day.
I know. And I appreciate you doing a little bit of marketing as well on that to help it out. And those of y'all that haven't seen the show before, because there's at least 5 or 6 of y'all I haven't seen in here before. So I'm really thankful to have you. I'm not good at doing like the 35-person roll call. It's not that I don't appreciate you. It's that I don't think people tune in for a roll call. So I'd rather have content, but I'm so glad that you're here. I hope that you'll consider liking and subscribing if it's, if you're into it. I want to welcome Courtney. It's her first time tonight. She's just looking for attention, Steven, how's your new year, man?
It was good. It was good. We were talking a little bit in the green room beforehand that we went to an indoor water park with the family, and it was a blast. It was the first time I'd ever been to it, and it was really fun. It was just a really, really good time.
Cool, man. As I said in my intro, man, I've spent a lot of time with family, which is absolutely cool. My wife's family's from here in Minnesota, so it was a really cool time, but I'm ready to get back to my routine, and I'm a systems and processes guy, which means variables drive me bonkers, and you're not exactly in control when you're the son-in-law is something nobody outwardly says it, but I learn it regularly. We'll put it that way. So, so happy New Year, Stephen. I hope that it's a fruitful year. Well, selfishly for us both, but I absolutely hope it is for you as well too.
Yeah, no, it's been awesome. And I'm stoked for the episode tonight. Like, I had re-listened to the old one, made a bunch of notes. I'm stoked for it. So,
well, that's cool. And what people don't know, and maybe they do know, or maybe they do appreciate. I feel like that sometimes people don't realize that it's not anybody's job to appreciate anything. So I'm not begging for anything here, but it does take a lot of work to put these together and to have some sort of coherent flow. It's a different kind of skill just to show up for a couple of years in a row every Tuesday night, which I'm pretty stubborn about doing. So, I got that part down. But we do show notes, and I've got a plan, and we do a little quick pre-show meeting and kind of run through. So I really appreciate it. It's one thing for me to do it because it's my brand and part of my livelihood, but for you to do it is just a cool thing to, and I know you take it seriously, but I appreciate it is what I'm trying to say. So what was your overall thought looking back now with hindsight being 2020? Obviously we'll pick apart the goals and the results here in a minute, but hindsight being 2020, how realistic or unrealistic was your outlook? Sometimes I hear things that I've said in the past, and I'm like, oh, I was wrong, man.
Yeah, no, I understand. So Courtney and I, we were on Late to the Mic last week, and we talked about it a little bit, and we realized that Courtney and I have an exceptional talent for making goals that we have absolutely no control over, and we did not do super great on the things that we said we were going to do. But
really?
yeah,
I thought you did pretty well. I mean,
on some things we did, but when I went back and listened to it, I'm like, oh, that was complete luck. Like that goal was complete luck on whether or not that was going to happen or not. Like,
I think I know what you're talking about. Okay, all right. Oh, well, yeah, and then but you had another goal that was complete luck about like the bonanza of the outcome. I don't know the outcome of one of them. We'll talk about that. Okay.
Yeah.
For myself, I would say I was pretty solid. But I got away from the goals. I didn't focus as much on them as I thought that I would. So that'll be part of the theme too. I think the goals this year are going to go get a little bit bigger presence in my everyday life, whether it be my freezer's right over here. I can magnet, make little signs, or in my office upstairs, or on the incubator. I think, and why I like goals is it gives us measurable progress. It doesn't mean we suck if we miss them. It doesn't mean we're amazing if we nail them, but it gives us some sort of roadmap and litmus test to how we're doing,
Yep. 100%.
That is my thought. So, I think you said you did the show prep. So do you want to go through a quick rundown of your goals last year and how they came? And it's so weird too, because we're only 3 days into. By the way, we're on it. Did you catch it? It was January 19th last year before we did the gold show. Like this is it, man. All right. So that has to bode well for like our focus and that's good, Mojo. All right, take it away. What were your on the recap? What were your goals?
Okay, so we had honorable mention goal was prove out a POS het animal, and the way that we were talking about it, like we never mentioned genetic testing last year. I think that it either hadn't really been out yet, or they had just started and it wasn't publicly available, because we were able to prove out a POS het, but we weren't able to do it through breeding. They didn't go. We were able to prove them out through genetic testing, and I think that that's really interesting. That just a year ago, when we did the episode a year ago, it wasn't big enough where we would have been like, oh, I'm just going to get these tested. Like,
yeah, I have to go back and look. I think it was less than 18 months ago, but it was certainly less than 2 years ago that Dr. Seidel was on the show. And that was something that was still far off into the future. It was something that she was working on and she was convinced could happen. But the idea of a commercial opportunity for consumers still seemed like the Jetsons, and here we are, how much the industry's changed. And you're right. I think, when you talked about proving out a POS het, there was no mention of genetic testing, and that wasn't even part of the context of the conversation. That's amazing to think how much the industry has changed and revolutionized in that period of time. Obviously, the work went into doing it before then, but it being rolled out has been a really incredible. And not only that there's competitors to it now. And I mean, obviously, I'm favorable to Charlie at Gray Rider and ShedTesting.com, but the work that RGI has done, the work that researchers at like Dr. Seidel, and then there's some, what would you call them? Maybe like homebrew guys that are doing testing as well. Some teachers that I know are doing it as part of their science classes now.
No, I think it's super cool. It definitely, and we've said this like before, shed testing has completely revolutionized the hobby. I love it. I'm super excited for it. We use it all the time, and we love Charlie too. Charlie's awesome. RGI sponsors us, and we really like RGI. Like we helped them develop the sunset test, which we're super, super proud of, and they just got the puzzle test too, and a couple other ones. So
yeah, I don't want to dive too deep into it. That was a topic. Well, that was because we got so many past goals, future goals, all the things to get to. It was a topic of discussion in the Patreon group, and interesting that the order of what they were able to release and be certain of their processes of versus like say monsoon, for example. So really it does, it permeates the hobby. It permeates all the conversations. So very cool. So you did or didn't prove that animal did or didn't prove out? It did. Okay, cool.
We did. We actually proved out 2 because we didn't say what animal. We just said prove out 2 possets. So one of them that we had a lot that tested and didn't prove, but 2 that we bought as possets and proved out was a leopard 66% het sunset girl. She proved, and she's actually being paired right now. She's breeder size. I'm stoked for her. And we have a cypress honey het sunset 66% het clown, and she also proved. So
for sunset and clown.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. So you had even said in the show last year, everything you had tried to prove out had failed. Just even the ones you bought as 100% hets failed. And you said, if one of these possible sunsets proves, we'll be just fine. Well, we'll take that as makeup. So you got it, man. You called your shot on that.
Yeah, no, I'm stoked for it. I'm really, really excited. There were some other ones that we tested, but those are like the 2 big ones that I was super, super stoked for. Yeah. What was your honorable mention from last year?
My honorable mention from last year, I had 2 quick ones. One was space for 55 breeder females. And in the same light of how fast a year moves, I didn't realize, I thought I have. And I had said I wanted to move in that direction the next 2 or 3 years. I have it. It's done. Check mark. In my mind, I would have said I've had that for way more than a year. I haven't. So that's cool. Then my second one, this is good. I did have one thing that I tested and failed. And I hate the word fail because it comes in such a negative connotation. But you got to test things. You got to try different things. Everybody says it's a tough market. Well, if you don't try new things and risk failing, you're always going to do the same thing you've ever done. And it's just going to be a tough market forever. So I believe in trying new things. So one thing that was just it was cool, but it failed. So my honorable mention goal had been to increase revenue streams, sort of from a diversification standpoint within the industry. And what I was intrigued by, I hadn't committed to it on the show, which is kind of neat to see, was Patreon, which I did start. I have that, and you can find that. There's a link in the link tree down below. Will take you to it if you want to learn more about that. That has been a success. I'm so thankful to the Patreon members. It's fantastic. It's a good sense of community. It keeps me on my toes. I think if you position yourself as a Patreon or as a leader on a Patreon platform, you have to stay on your toes because you could look like a hypocrite and an idiot really, really fast. So like it keeps me doing the right thing and keeps me focused. And I do think it provides a service, and for myself, above the cheapest tier, everything else turns into store credit. So it's a cash flow on future purchases, which is really cool and helpful to me too. So from a business standpoint, the one that failed was a neat idea. I loved it, but I never figured out how to really make it worthwhile. Was a 24/7 webcam. I had that going.
I remember that.
Yeah, I had it in my snake room. And it was cool. I had 3 cameras going 24/7. It was the Truman Show with Adam and his snakes. And what ultimately crashed it was the move. The move this year was unexpected. I didn't have any plans to move to Minnesota this year, and it came along unexpectedly. And I got it going, but it was a pain to keep up. It was clunky. It wasn't quite working the way that I wanted it to. And I never caught fire as far as subscribers or participants. It wasn't monetized. It was free for anybody who wanted to watch it. I believe in building sort of the free community. Figure out the monetization later. You can once you have an audience, you can leverage things. So I knew I needed to build an audience first. And it never quite did. People were intrigued by it, but honestly, I might only be actively cleaning 2-3 hours a day or working in my snake room a couple hours a day. That's 10% of the time, So I opted not to set it back up. It took having a separate computer. I had to rent a server space, et cetera, and I just crashed it. I said, you know what? It's going to be done. So the webcam, no. Patreon, I was still saying I was going to explore it and consider whether I would do it. So that was sort of an unexpected yes. I went way too deep. I gotta move on these things. Way too deep. All right, what was your next one, Steven?
All right, number 5 that I had. So it was one for Courtney, one for me. One was produce a super asphalt, and then the other was produce a banana Neala clown. And we did not produce any super asphalts. In fact, that the first clutch that we have where we can potentially make super asphalts just dropped. We got 9 eggs in the incubator. So
nice.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So we got 9. Our 2024 season is starting off a little early, and we got 9 eggs in the incubator that can make some really cool super asphalt combos. And then we have, I think it's 7 eggs in there for like Mystic Potion clutch, where every single baby will be either a Mystic Potion or a Bell. So I'm stoked about that one.
Yep.
So that was one, but we didn't hit that one. And then the other one, produce a banana Neala clown. That was the first year that we've had that girl that she didn't go because she's gone like clockwork every other year. Instead, we didn't make a banana Neala clown. We did happen to make the first Neala furrow clowns that I was stoked about.
Yeah, you had some Neala clowns. Okay, so to the letter of it, the banana you missed, but you made up for it. You did okay.
Oh yeah. Those Neala furrow clowns, they're probably my favorite snakes that we've produced so far. They're beautiful. I'm so stoked for that project, and it's just wide open because Neala and furrow are both so new.
Right. And are those two allelic, or do they seem to travel together, or in the main breeding population, they're a combo that you generally see? Why are those two so closely related?
So they were, so normally, no, they're not closely related or anything, but they originated from the same breeder. So the breeder, BPM Reptiles, Wally and Rozzy out of South Africa, they had founded the Neala gene, the furrow gene, and the striker gene, all from like separate random imports that they had. And that because they originated the project, that a lot of the people who buy Neala will also get furrow or striker or vice versa, but they didn't come from the same animals. They're all different animals.
Got it. Okay, so it just happened to be a result of the breeding.
Yeah, as they were pairing their stuff together.
Yeah, the concentrated breeding population there within the one breeder. Okay. All right. So my first number 5 one was to produce a double visual. I did do that. I got the dreamsicle, and only one individual dreamsicle, female, fantastic. I get to hold her back. What was funny is how things evolved. So at the time I had and I still have her. She's a great snake. A lavender 66% pied female. I got a clutch from her. She did not prove out to be pied. I haven't had her tested, so she's not proven or unproven. Next week, I'll find out for sure whether she's het pied or not. Leaning towards not, but hey, that'd be a great blessing if she was. A pleasant surprise bonus. However, enter Shannon from Green Dragon Brokers, and he says, "Hey, Adam, I've got a double het girl that is huge, and I don't have anything to pair her to. You want to work together on this?" I said, "Sure. I've got a lavender het pied male. Let's put him to her." And sure enough, we got a dreamsicle. We got one pied 66% het lav 100% het lav, from that clutch, 4 visual lavs and 4 normal. So lav 66% het pieds. So really cool. So I did come through on that, but it wasn't the way that I thought that I would. I did not do it with the animals in my collection. I did not accomplish that.
Get it, man. You produced a dreamsicle.
Yeah, I got the double. Hey, that's cool. I'm down, right?
Yeah.
All right. What was your number 4 then?
Okay, number 4 we had was, because I broke them into like marketing and all that different categories. This one was, I had 2 that I wrote down in the notes, which was to have like a breeder get-together party and to do a documentary. And we did the documentary. I was stoked about it. We got the little poster with everybody signed back there.
Crushed it, by the way. Yeah,
I'm stoked about that. But we didn't end up doing the breeder party. So we're potentially going to try to do some kind of like something this year, like that's more community focused, and maybe at like Daytona, do like an informal meetup or something like that. So that's another one of those trade-offs. Like doing a documentary, just saying it on a podcast in January,
I don't think anybody expected the magnitude of work that went into producing a full-length, feature-length document. You might have. I don't think any of us thought for a second that, like, okay, maybe, 15, 20 minutes kind of thing, and it'd be cool, or it'd take 2 years. It's unbelievable the work that you did and the quality of that, man. Look, everybody knows you and I are friends, and I would support you on it. But objectively, whether anybody thinks it's good or bad content, the work and the professionalism that went into it is phenomenal, man. I'm just so impressed and happy for you guys cranking that out, man.
I was super, super stoked. I'm really, really proud of it. And I'm really happy that everybody's been so supportive and just positive about it.
Yeah. And already it's been a springboard for another project. You have another one cooking, right?
Yep.
What else?
But it's going to be in goals for this year. So,
okay. All right. Oh, cool. All right. Perfect then. All right. So we'll get to that one. You had mentioned in that same marketing goal topic, getting out and doing shows. Yep. Talk about a year going by and not realizing it. Was this the first year you done shows, or you had vended before as well?
Yep, we had vended before. We always do. Okay. We did one show our very first season. I think we did maybe 2 or 3, a very small amount of shows our second one. This last year, I think, again, we only did like maybe 4 shows this last year. And it was, so we don't produce very many hatchlings. Like, we produce about 100 a year. I think we have like 10 to 15 that are left over right now. And we have, so it is, well, online sales have been really good. So,
yeah. Okay. Well, cool. Then, because I thought you had done them before that year, before 2023, but I wasn't 100% sure, and I couldn't remember all the context, even after watching the show today. Mine, nice segue, my number 4 goal last year was to vend 8 shows. I told myself, all right, I think I need to vend. I think I need to get out there. And I had also, which this I would recommend to people just from experience. When I signed up for my first show, I went ahead and signed up for 6 shows. And I did that because I knew that if I had a bad or a rough first experience, I wouldn't keep it up. I was skeptical of the overhead. I was a little frustrated with, the displays are expensive. I spent $1,500 on displays, the banner, the marketing, the show fees. I was in $2,000 just to step foot in a show before I ever sold anything. And you could go way up from there. That's with an inexpensive and a pretty lean setup. I run small. But I'm so glad that I forced myself to do that, because it took 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6 shows to find my rhythm of what I was doing, get my sales chops right, my engagement with people. And so I was really, really glad that I did that. I ended up doing 13 shows in 2023. Shows are now a significant part of my income. I love doing them. They're a blast. I've got my rhythm and my routine and my system process in place where I can be a one-man show. I can fit everything in my truck organized. I have the routine and the checklist for loading and unloading and pre-packing here at the house. I really like it. And it's proven good for me. There's some show naysayers out there. Good friends too, like Jessica, the Holdback Rack. I think she and I would debate this forever. I like shows. They work for me. I figured out how to make them work, and I'm excited for 2024. I'll be doing a lot of shows. I can let it out. It's not on my goals this year. I'm registered for 26 shows.
Oh, that's awesome. A show every 2 weeks on average.
Yeah, on average. So, I guess the bad part about shows is becoming used to the revenue. I mean, a moderate show would be, $1,500 a show. If you could do that 26 times, man, that's a sweet chunk of cash right there. So, I'm excited for it. I don't seem to do yet. Maybe I will. I only average 4 or 5 snakes per show. So I remember offline, Steven, you and I had been talking, and I told you that, and you're like, you're going to need like 1,000 snakes. I'm like, no, I need like 125. But I need to sell 125 to make that make sense for me. So anyhow, I'm enjoying shows. I'm liking shows. They work for me. They work within my model, and I'm excited about that. So that was a successful goal accomplished on that one. What was your number 3? I think that was your I don't know if that was your operations goal. What was that?
I don't 100% know on what I need or the category. Real quick before I jump into it, I know Courtney had responded in there, but just in case anybody else in the chat who is going to get one of the posters from one of the drawings and stuff, I think the DVDs are supposed to come in tomorrow. So we'll probably get stuff out next week. We'll start getting stuff out, like shipped and things. And then somebody else, I think it was Ball Labs, one of your sponsors, they had asked if the breeder party info is going to be like public or if it's going to be invite only. Truthfully, we haven't like nailed that down yet. I really like the idea of like doing something that is open to the public, but if there's going to be like, I don't know, 200 people who want to come, there's no way that we can handle that. So like, so like, we'll wait and see. But if it's like an informal thing at Daytona, it'll probably be pretty open to whoever wants to we'll probably find a place, kind of like we were going to do last year for the live, but we'll just find a place to hang out, and anybody who wants to come over, like they're more than welcome.
Yeah, do it out on the bar patio or patio bar or whatever it might be. Celtic Reptiles asks where you're getting your banners from. I get mine right off of Canva. You can design it there, and they sell it to you right there. I mean, as you're designing it, they'll ask you if you want to buy it, and then they'll take you to a place where you can order it. I had a great experience with them, but I know there's a ton of people in the audience that have banners as well, so you guys can throw up other names and ideas of what's worked for you. But I had a good experience with directly on Canva, both designing it and getting it printed off of there. Number 3.
Yeah. All right. So the one I had on there was regain self-sufficiency on rodents, which we did, and then we fell behind again. So
that's a yes, no.
Yeah. So we did do that. We were probably self-sufficient for like quite a bit, maybe like 4 or 5 months. And then when hatchlings started coming and they're like eating all the like babies that are being produced,
right,
and then we're not having stuff grow up, then we have to go buy some more and things like that. So we are probably going to end up putting up like a rat shed type thing and like greatly expanding the amount of rodents that we're able to produce. And then we want to get to self-sufficiency because we're probably spending, I don't know, between $500 to $800 a month in rodents.
Yeah. Yes, I get it. That is something I'm going to talk a lot about tonight. So let's circle back and revisit that on the 2024 goal side, where we dive a little bit deeper. All right, so that one's a push. That's a plus negative on that one. All right, on mine, this is the one I missed the biggest on. I guess I was on some kind of roll, but my goal was that's not a drug reference. I was on a roll leading up to it, leading me to think that I could actually do this. My goal was to double up my YouTube subscribers. I was at 2,000 and I wanted to get to 4,000. And that's a lot, man. That is significant. So that's a fail. That's a mess. But a few bits of context for that, and that's not me giving myself an out. It's identifying where the challenge went. I fell off, man. Relative to a lot of other tasks of building the brand and my day-to-day life, producing and editing videos was eating up my time. I was spending 8-10 hours a week on a video. And we also have to remember 368 days ago was the first day of my life where I was completely self-employed. I had no safety net. I had no company that couldn't fire me, or I had no HR department, nothing. So I was terrified. So I took on every bit of work that I could. So I had a couple consulting clients, and I was like, I got to get some of these other revenue streams going. So I got to building Patreon. And at the same time, my Instagram results started getting really, really good. And I hired basically a social media consultant and coach. So I was working with him, and he was actually very, very helpful. He was very good. And so I was really putting my time towards other things, and I found a better return on my time investment with just doing the lives on YouTube rather than doing traditional videos. So I think I only did 4 or 5 traditional videos this year. And what I've decided though, well, we have to circle back to that, but it's part of the goals. I've decided that's too little. I need to get back to committing to that part of my business model as well. So that's it there. I failed on the 4K subs. I had said in there too that I wanted to triple my Instagram follows, but I didn't say in the video what they were. And Instagram will only let me go back that I know of and check my reporting for the past 90 days. So I don't know. I think I tripled up Instagram. I think I had about 2,000 subscribers on our followers on Instagram as well. But I don't, if that's the case, I'm more than tripled it. I'm at 7 and change, but I don't know if I did that or not. Looks like we got some technical difficulties with Steven. So I'm going to continue on with mine, and I hope Steven will jump back in just a second. I'll keep the show going. So this one has a little bit of context too. My number 5 goal from last year was to have 5-figure profitability. So I wanted to be profitable $10,000 or more, and then I expanded on that goal. My loan on my house, it's a private investor loan. The loan on my house, though, is right at $13,000 a year. And my goal was to have Snake profitability pay for my house. What a dream come true that would be, right? If my housing could be paid for, and a good housing, like a house that I own, could be paid for with Snake profitability, not just revenue, profitability, that was going to be a huge milestone. So here's what happened. Heading into the fourth quarter, I always get with my tax guy. The context here is heading into the fourth quarter, I was profitable about $16,000. So I had, at that point, year to date. So I'd accomplished that goal, and I was doing great on what I wanted to do. And what happened is, also at the same time, like I just said, I was picking up customers everywhere I could, clients everywhere that I could on my consulting. And what happened was consulting went so well, I actually doubled up my goal on my consulting budget in 2023. And I called my tax guy, which I do at the beginning of the fourth quarter every year. And I would look at, here's where I am, and here's where I think I'm going to end. What should I do? And the tax guy basically said, Adam, you exceeded your goals to the point you're going to have a significant tax bill. Is there anything you're going to be planning to buy or business endeavors that make sense, that you large ticket items that you would go after? And that's when I invested in going all out in this room. I spent a little bit over $5,000 getting this room the way I wanted to get it. I spent over $5,000 investing in the rodent infrastructure this year. So at the end of the year, I actually ended at a little over $8,500 profitability. So technically no, but the tax guy said, hey, you made so much consulting and you're doing so great on the snakes. You're doing fine compared to your goal. I'm not, $15,000 is not anything to retire on. Don't get me wrong, but it was very good compared to my goal. So did I end the year on paper 5-figure profitability? No, but I was there, and I spent it on future investments so that I could have an even more fruitful year this year. So that's part of the plan, and I'll talk about some of that plan and the goals moving forward for the 2024. Steven, welcome back, man.
Yeah. The camera is being weird. This is like the first time it's ever happened where the camera's being weird for me on a live. So I switched over to the regular webcam.
Yeah, you know, you use Canons, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I've noticed that I have to tape. I'll have to put a picture up on Instagram tomorrow. I have to tape all of my connections to my desk because one little shimmy, and I'm always waving around. I can't sit. This is the longest I sit still all week. So I'm always moving, and my desk is on wheels. So even if I just nudge the desk kind of thing, I had to tape every one of mine down. That's probably my one complaint on the Canons is their connectivity on the various wires. So anyhow.
But So
I went through the 4K subs, didn't happen. I went through my 5-figure profitability. I was there, then I wasn't, but it was by design. So I'm happy with the outcome. What was your number 2? Talk about yours was a gross revenue goal.
Yep, my number 2, or our number 2, was to generate $40,000 in gross revenue specifically from ball python sales, and not including any cash stuff, not including like trades, because we did one trade this year. Just from Square, what I just pulled up on this, we grossed $42,049.63 from ball python sales.
Very nice. Congratulations.
So, yeah, I was pretty stoked about that. Like,
that is good, man. Well, I don't know about you. For me, if you told me as the guy in the, my basement with a banana pet, banana pastel pet, that we could be talking about grossing 40K plus in 2.5 years, for me, I would have laughed. So I would have said, if you could guarantee that, I'll quit my job right now. And I mean, it seems like you may as well have told me that was $1 million, and here you are doing it, man. Congratulations. That is fantastic, man. Did you find it was the path there as challenging or as easy as expected? Were there huge surprises along the way? What did you see?
Yes and no. I would say things that I noticed on it are that, like, people who are getting into breeding and they hear like just me saying that, or anybody else who makes like a significant amount of money from ball pythons, you just kind of assume like, oh, you breed your ball pythons and then you sell the snakes. That's not the case. The vast majority of the work is like grinding and marketing every single day. Like every day we're on Instagram, every single live that I'm able to get in, I'm in, and I'm in the comments and I'm talking to people. We make weekly YouTube videos. We are all over the place, always networking. Like, the $42,000 was probably some of the hardest work that we've ever done to earn $42,000 split between 2 people, because it's both Courtney and I that are doing all of this. Like, it is a lot, but I'm so stoked for it. And I'm really, really excited. So,
I get some, pushback from some people that are like, yeah, but your dollar per hour is next to nothing, Adam. Why does this make any sense? And I can't argue with them other than to say the ceiling is much higher than what my career would have been, both financially, but also personal happiness, fulfillment, life balance, time at home with my family. All of that works amazing for me. There's other people, like really, really good breeders that I know that are pretty notorious, maybe famous in the hobby. And they say, I don't want to quit my job, man. I love my job. This is what I do. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think you've expressed that to me too, Steven. You're like, I love what I'm doing. I'm like, okay, good for you. I couldn't think of anything I would rather be, I get so much joy in figuring out the business part of it, and then being able to do it with the snakes is just still this coolest thing to me. So, anyhow, it takes some context, and you're exactly right. I hope people who are listening, you don't just breed them and they magically turn into a pile of cash. That is, that's the whole theme of this whole channel, this whole podcast, is figuring that out. But the first step, I always said, even in the restaurants, the first step, just figure out how to get the money in the door. What you do with the money and how you figure out how to keep more of it, that's the next step. You can't do any of that until you're making it in the first place. So nice job making it. Go ahead.
Oh, I think it's Cameron from Rodents and Royals. If it's not Cameron, I'm sorry. I thought Courtney said it was Cameron in the chat. But anyways, they had asked what percentage was sunset.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I don't have it easy because I don't have the number like broken down right now, but I would probably guesstimate probably about half of it was sunset animals. And really specifically, there were like 3 animals that were all about $5,000 each that they were a huge portion of that. Like the sunset is the single biggest project for it. But yeah, there were some pretty high ticket animals, at least for us, that we were able to sell that really drove a lot of that revenue.
Nice. Do you, if you want to share, and if you know the answer, do you have the average sale or the median sale? And those are two different things, but I know you've talked about those two things before. Do you want to share that, or you rather not?
If I have it, I can. I got to go look. Courtney's the one who does all the analytics and stuff. Let me go see what she has in the file. What if you want to go on to your last goal while I'm looking this one up?
Well, I went through the last goal on your sabbatical there. So you're back up to number one. And just to fill you in, mine was a 5-figure profitability. I got to that level heading into the fourth quarter. I was around 16,000, and I talked to my tax guy, and my consulting had gone really well. He said, look, if you've got big purchases to make that you're going to make in 2024, go ahead and make them now. Let's get your expenses down now. So I brought that back down is what I did.
Hold on a second. I think, Courtney, what did you say? I apologize. I'm sorry.
You're good.
Said something, but I couldn't hear her. Here, if she's listening still, I'll wait for her to tell me what's going on. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I apologize. I came in right at the end of that, so I apologize. I had you.
Yep, that's okay. That's the nice part about there being two of us on here, because when it's a solo show, and one person conks out, then it's challenging. Take us to your. We can circle back, because as everybody would probably guess, revenue projections are a big part of my goals for 2024. So we'll talk about that. We could circle back to the average and median sales if you like. Your number one goal, and you know what? When you were when I was rewatching the show, I was like, you know what? I don't think I've talked to Steven about this all year. So I have no idea where you ended on it. What came of that goal? Tell us about it.
Yeah. So our number one goal that we had last year was, again, coming back to it's luck. We had no control over whether or not it was going to happen or not, is we wanted to prove whether or not one of our Dinkers that we have. So we have 2 Dinkers that we had imported from Africa. If their appearance, if their phenotype was genetic or not.
Now, before you reveal it, I would say you have control over the act of proving it. You don't have control over the of whether it is or not, but finding out you have control over.
True, if they go. And no,
if they go, right.
They didn't lock. They didn't lock until maybe 3 months ago is when the male finally started locking. So we're probably he's been locking to the same girl multiple times, and she's starting to build follicles. She's at 15-ish millimeters. So it'll probably be this season, but that we get the answers. But yeah, we didn't get it. That said, one thing we are going to do about it, and this is a shout out to, I think it's Nathan from Infinite Possible Pythons. He's doing a lot of stuff with the Bang projects. I think that the stuff that he did is there was controversy. I don't know if that's controversy. People were wondering, was Bang a different line of Orange Dream? And they look kind of similar, but Bang looks a bit cleaner. I would say if you had between an Orange Dream and a Desert Ghost Orange Dream, Bang was in the middle of that, just as its own dream. So people were is it just a really, really clean line of Orange Dream? And he took all of the different Bang animals he had, he sent in the tests and tested them off Orange Dream, and all of them proved negative. And I think that is a huge thing that genetic testing can do, that is pretty much when people are trying to prove out Dinker projects, and it's does this gene that looks kind of like this other gene, go test for it. And if it proves negative, at the bare minimum, it is genetically different.
It's different. Right. That's cool. I did not know that relationship. Now, you brought up the Bang. Is that one that we were talking about that had on the show? It has a pretty orange prominent features on it. So what are you thinking on that?
We're going to test it. We're going to do a full panel on it just to see if it hits for anything. So that way we can know, but I'll see if I can pull up a picture. Again, we don't have to waste time on it, but just that way we can kind of give a little bit of an update on it. Well, not so much update, but I'm just stoked about it. So that boy, I think he's really cool looking. So
is he holding his oranges nicely for you?
Oh yeah. He's held his stuff really, really well. I'm excited. I also don't want to show stuff. I showed him off when he was a baby. I'm also hesitant to show stuff off because I feel that in a marketing strategy aspect, if he does prove, we're not going to be saying anything about it until we have multiple different combos that look really cool. So, but I'll show off a baby picture of him because we had already put those out there.
Well, you're bringing that up. Dark Side creations. Yeah, Dinker is just something that's unknown that people see that sticks out, or that they don't know what it is, but they're willing to go through the project work of whether it be breeding, genetic testing. And the dream is that you find a new gene that is genetic and can be recreated, and of course unlocks all new possibilities of combos and that have never been seen before. So that's the Dinker project mindset.
Yeah. And again, it's super risky because like you might put in a ton of time, effort, and money trying to prove out something that was never. It was just a cool phenotype, but it wasn't like it wasn't caused by like Mendelian genetics or something.
Yeah.
Let me go. I'm trying to find. Okay, here. I'll get this. If I can find how to download the cover. Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen real quick.
Okay.
Settings. Present. Share screen. Okay. So this is the boy when he was, or as a baby. So.
Here we go.
But yeah,
there it is. Oh yeah, sharp. Yep, I remember that animal clearly now. Yeah,
super dark, really rich oranges. Has like a really cool, strong black back pattern to him. Awesome, really cool animal. Has aged really well. And again, the appearance may be completely random. Have no genetic like it won't inherit to the babies at all, or maybe it will. But our thoughts on it for a Dinker project was sometimes when people are trying to say that they have a new gene and they show it to you and it looks exactly like a normal ball python, and they're like, well, look at this little spot right here on
right, yeah.
And it's like, if in our opinion is if you're going to do a Dinker project and there are a pile of 100 normals and you put your Dinker in there and you mix them all up, if you can't tell what it is immediately, it's going to be a really hard project to convince other people to get into.
Yep, I agree. And I couldn't say it any better. That's exactly right. I am not attracted to Dinker projects by and large, I guess yet, probably famous last words knowing me, for the very reasons you say. The time, the money, and the likely outcome of all of that. I want to know what I have. I want to know what I can get onto, and I want to get onto it. But with all that being said, that does not look normal one bit. And I think it's beautiful, man. I think that's a cool project for you to go after.
Yeah. If it proves out, that's going to be really cool. And if it can make some cool combos and it's not like a gene that already exists, I'll be stoked for it. So
yeah, very nice, man. All right. Well, then that one remains to be seen. Yeah. So that wraps up our review of last year and gets us to right to this point. I propose that we give a quick mention to our sponsors while there's 60 of y'all here, and don't you dare change the channel because you're enjoying the content and those sponsors make it possible. And I got to give a quick thanks here. Bella Reptiles, I did see your note. Thank you very, very much. I'm happy to help you out. They messaged me out of the blue, just asked for some insight on Instagram, and I gave kind of 3 really quick points of, hey, this is what's worked for me. Start there and get your ball rolling. And they've done great, man. Keep it going. I'm happy for you. I keep an eye on you, and I'm happy for it. Thanks so much for the support. It's very kind. REDLINE shipping, you guys know the deal with REDLINE. I think that the customer service is fantastic, super reliable, and they're going to help you through this winter shipping season, guys. They will follow their guidance. Their customer service is great. You can call them. You can plan your shipments, and they'll track it with you, track it for you, stay on FedEx. I say it because I do it. Robin didn't give me those talking points. That's my experience. I promise you. So give them a shot. Use the promo code proper5. They're going to give you $5 off your next shipping label. And I think that you'll enjoy the customer experience. Same with shedtesting.com. We've talked about it. There's alternatives out there. I think that Charlie does great, and he does better on the customer service aspect of things. The genes that he has, I would test with Charlie, and you should give him a shot. He's being extremely generous. Proper 15 is going to get you 15% off of 2 orders. That's 2 batches of sheds. If you've been like me, piling them up, stockpiling them in a box, send them off to Charlie, man. See how fast he does it. See how much care he puts into it and how well he stays in touch with you. And he'll be on the show next Tuesday night too, so you can come learn more about him. Shedtesting.com. That is Charlie. Nixon Reptiles, man. I haven't seen Brandon. I hope he's doing well. I haven't seen him in a little bit. I know everybody's busy, but Brandon's been a great supporter of the show. He's an excellent breeder, a meticulous breeder, and a very good and thoughtful person. I've worked both personally and professionally with Brandon as far as breeding projects over the past year and a half, really. He's working on the orange project, Sunset, Ultramel, Monarch, Hypo, and he's got all of those in combos, both with each other and the recessives, but also codominants as well. Portuguese pythons, Danny and Renee. You probably saw them from the 15 Minutes of Lame competition, and then they're being really, really active in the Project Redline patch project. So they're doing great things, but I don't know if you noticed in there too, they have killer snakes. I know right now they are featuring their Ultramel Pied combos that they have. They have those for sale and available right now. I can tell you I have a 1.3 in that project from Danny and Renee. They're Portuguese pythons. I'm excited for it. In those that I've got from them, there is Mojave, Black Pastel, and Trick in there. So you'll see a lot of those combos start to come to life over the next couple of years. I'm very excited. Take care of Danny and Renee. Portuguese pythons, give them a shot. They're out in California in Chino, and you could see that they'll be at Pomona this weekend coming up as well. Go see them. Say hello to them. Ball Labs, that's Trevor out in Aurora, Colorado. He's our newest sponsor here at Proper Royals. I couldn't be more happy to have him on board. He's been keeping reptiles for 20 years, been breeding ball pythons for 15, working with Puzzle, Ultramel, Clown, VPIA Xanthic, and Tri-Stripe. And he has those available. Check out his Instagram. He's been doing a series on redoing his reptile room, and he's got a lot of species other than just ball pythons. Obviously, ball python centric here. And if there's any doubt of whether you should check him out, he's got monsoon, zebra, and sunset stuff going too. Go check him out. That's Trevor, Ball Labs. Last but not least is Chris at B and S Reptilia. It's Reptilia because he specializes in all kinds of species: ball pythons, blood pythons, locality, boas. Pichuophis, that's the word I always try and remember. I didn't even have to look at my notes tonight on that. If you know what that is, Chris is your guy. Other colubrids, corn snakes, check him out. If you have questions in the industry, he's always happy to help, and he's the regional distributor of the Chipper out of Pennsylvania. Give him a call if you're interested in any of that. I personally recommend him, and I've been with him at Tinley. How about that? What's a better vote of confidence than that? Give him a shot. Thanks, guys. You all make this show worthwhile for me to do, to bring to the audience, an audience who make it worthwhile for me with your participation. I can't keep up with the chats. If I miss you, I miss you. I don't mean anything by it. I usually do go back and rewatch the shows, and I check out the comments as well. So, Keith says, I'm not even attracted to incomplete dominant genes. That is not true, man. They just have to be used in the right way. Shannon says, are you getting into DG this year? I don't think so. I swore I'd never own a living rodent, but, here I am with a whole operation. So we'll see. I'm not planning to. I don't have it on the list of goals. But you never know. I have a Cypress that is 66% het DG and is also either cryptic or clown. I'll find out that result next Tuesday. So maybe I'll be convinced. Who knows? Here we go. Second half of the goals show. This is where we lay out our goals for 2024, Stephen. It's going to be a big year, man. It has to be. Like,
oh yeah.
To me, the beauty of ball pythons is every year gets better and better. Like what we're investing, what we're creating, the ingredients we have in our genetic pool, that should be increasing and improving every year if we're doing it right. And that just makes every year the most exciting year ever.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm stoked for it. I think that this is I think this last year was really good for us, but I think that this year is like the year where, like, if we're lucky, if girls go, if we hit the odds, like, we can be making some really, really cool stuff this year. I'm stoked for it. This is our first holdbacks are getting up to size and are going this year. So,
that's mine too. Yeah. Oh, I should have put, that's going to be an honorable mention one, is to produce a clutch from a holdback that I created. That will be this year. I'm assuming they go, but if they go, that will be this year, man. I'm pumped. That's a great one. All right, Steven, you're the visitor. You go first, man. The
Okay.
home team's going to finish this one off. So what's your number? Wait.
Honorable mention one?
Oh, yeah. You got to, we got to knock out a couple quick honorable mentions. I was trying to think, do we call it the number 5 goal or the number 1 goal? We call it number 5 because we worked the number 1, right?
Yeah, because I think we have like our honorable mention, which is one that didn't quite make the cut for whatever reason. So the way I'm going to do our honorable mention this year, at least for me, it comes from like Courtney, is last year we really focused on like making hopefully like really cool content, and we got less involved in like the like outreach part of social media. And it's like we're very active in like lives and stuff, but like before then, like we would, what we called it, we would grind, where we would go out and we would make deliberate proactive efforts to engage with people that we'd never engaged with before. And we really didn't do it very much throughout last year. And I think that our Instagram growth, we saw a drastic slowdown from that. Right. So we went from, I don't know, last year I think we were around like 17,000. I think right now we're at like, we did that in 2 years ish, and then throughout all of last year we probably got about 3,000 followers on Instagram. And I think that a lot of it was we weren't going out and like really engaging with the community on Instagram. So we are going to make our honorable mention is make a deliberate effort and proactively grind every single week. Do social outreach on Instagram specifically and try to reignite that. I feel like that Instagram got ignored a little bit for YouTube last year.
Yeah, mine went the opposite way. I grew hugely on Instagram, and I kind of put YouTube on the back burner. Other than, the live shows I did because I started the second show. So, I probably did 70 live episodes. No, probably more, probably 80. Anyway, but I neglected the traditional YouTube sweet spot video quite a lot. So, I'm with you on that. I did not make an honorable mention goal. I just have my laser focus.
All right. There we go. Okay. All right. So I'll start off on number 5 then, since I did the honorable mention, but we don't. Unless you want to do produce babies from a holdback.
Oh, yeah. Well, that is definitely, that is my honorable mention one, is to produce babies from a holdback that I produced. And I have 4 or 5 possibilities for that. So I'm feeling pretty optimistic about that.
Yeah, I'm stoked for that one. And that's not our honorable mention, but yeah, I think that's going to be a really cool one. It's going to be really awesome to see a girl that we held back our first season on eggs.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, what's your
number 5?
What's your, oh, no. On the holdback one, what's your like best outcome that could come from that?
Our best outcome, depending if they go and if they're up to size, they're at like 1,200-ish grams right now, is we could potentially make a Bongo Sunset Ultra Male Het Hypo.
Wow. Okay. You're. I'm not going to talk about what mine is. No, never mind. Next question. No. I think mine. Hypo-clown combos, which is nothing too shabby, but I'm really excited. I could produce a super orange dream pied, and I know that probably doesn't sound as exciting to people, but the orange dream, it's a father and offspring female, and they're both just electric. Your analogy you gave about lining up however many normals, you better be able to pick it out. That's how these feel when you line them up with Orange Dreams, in my opinion. So I am excited to see what they produce together. They're both Hetforpied, so it's a long shot to get the super and the visual. I got a dream school this year on similar long odds, so we'll see.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, why not? It'll never happen if you don't try it, right?
That's right. You do it once, and then you find out that there was a hidden het in there, and you actually pop out clown versions too.
Maybe I get the hypo on it. Who knows, man?
Yeah. No.
All right, number 5 for you, 2024 goal. What you got?
All right, it's a repeat from last year. We're going to do number 5 as infrastructure, and it's going to be get back to rodent self-sufficiency. So I'll be a little bit more specific on this, and this is going to be like build up the like build a shed, build a place for us to greatly expand our rodent operation. So that way it's not just get to self-sufficiency, but yeah, like put up the shed, get probably like an ARS rodent rack, and really, really scale up. We would love to be able to make enough rodents where we don't have to worry about like buying stuff. Again, nothing against the people we buy rodents from, because Eric and Cameron are awesome, but yeah, we don't want to have to spend $800 a month buying rodents.
Exactly. All right. Oddly enough, your number 5 and my number 5 are wildly similar and definitely related. So we could pick yours apart a little bit in this conversation too. My goal was to run a profitable ASF operation. Now I'm in a little bit different situation. I think most people that have seen the show know that I have a great relationship with Cold Blooded Cafe, and I have for a long time. And they were sponsors on this show. Now they sponsor the other Proper Cup of Joe show, and they sponsor another Instagram page that I have as well. And I work closely with them on their social media. Part of, and I'm not going to disclose the specifics. That wouldn't be fair to any sponsor for me to do that. But part of the compensation, probably obviously, given that I need rats and they provide rats, is that I have access to some rats. So I need ASFs for my hatchlings. 90% of my collection eats frozen thawed rats other than hatchlings. So I don't need a huge amount of ASFs. And I'm still convinced, and I'm more convinced than ever, that there's opportunity, at least in this region, for ASFs and rodent feeders. I get asked constantly. I put the brakes on marketing my Proper Rodents brand. I had some changes unexpected come up this year at the end of the year, so I put the brakes on marketing it. I still get inquiries, multiple inquiries a week. When can I get rodents from you? What do you have available? I want to buy them. And I've got the infrastructure. I bought the equipment. I have made great strides. I'm not going to sell anything until I have about 2,000 non-colony rodents on hand. I think that's my buffer of what I have to have on hand to make sure that I don't crash the operation. So it's still going to be 3-4 months before I'm even willing to consider selling something, but it's ramping up nicely and I'm content with it. So I want to be profitable on ASF operations. For me, that means I want to cover the overhead of the ASFs. I don't want to buy any more ASF hatchlings. I'm budgeted to buy through the end of April. So by May, I need my goal is to be self-sufficient on that. I forecast and I've budgeted that I'll have $5,900 in rodent expenses this year because I am going to buy one more rack. That's the majority of it. The other, $3,000 is the overhead. And I want to do $10,000 in rodent revenue as well. So I think I could profit $4,000 this year on rodents, and that will also eliminate the $6,000 that I spent in 2023 on rodents. So however people want to do that math, you could say it's 10,000 revenue and 6,000 savings. That's a 16,000 swing. Or you could say 4,000 profit plus the 6,000 savings. Either way, it's a massive amount of money to consider that I'll be able to save of overhead.
Oh yeah. I think that breeding rodents, especially for anybody who I would say probably gets 50 snakes or more, is at some point you're either going to be spending a ton of money buying rodents or you're going to breed your own rodents. And we had actually, I'm trying to find the name of it. It was sometime this year. We did a video where we actually broke down straight up costs of everything. At what point, how many snakes does it take before it would be cheaper to buy everything you need to breed rodents and buy all the rodents to start breeding versus just buying your rodents outright in 1 year? And I don't remember what the name of it is, but it's somewhere on our things. I'm sure you could look up rodent breeding videos on our channel, and it would,
I'll probably do my own version of that video, not necessarily versus the cost of the snakes, but hey, here's what I have, here's what I spent on everything, and just do a really transparent video. And then I'll try and I think you got to be careful. I think you always have to include the work that goes into it too, or else you get kind of into the, hey, look at this, just buy some rats and you'll be rich. No, it's not, it ain't that way, you know? So, but yeah, I'm actually going to write that down. I think that would be good content for one of my videos this year.
Yeah, we did like what we did is we built out like an Excel sheet. So that way it's like kind of like a little calculator. You put in the number of snakes you have, you put in the average cost of your rodent, and it will tell you exactly this is once you hit these many snakes, this is when you would actually save more money in 1 year starting to breed your own rodents versus just continuing to buy the rodents at the price you set as your average. So
go check that out, folks. If I could put the link, I can't put it in the live thing, but it's on Steven's channel. And by the way, links to all of Steven's media is down in the description as well. I should have mentioned that on the sponsor promo time as well.
Oh, thank you, Eric. They found it. They got it. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, rodents and royals. So
there we go. Oh yeah, there it is. Oh, is it a does it do a link? It doesn't do a link. You could search for that though. Okay, cool. All right, what's your number 4 goal for 2024?
All right, number 4, again, going to go repeat of it, is we want to progress the Dinker project. We want to be able to prove out one way or the other, so we're going to throw that back up on there. But in addition to that, for like animal goal, I would also like to produce a double visual sunset combo this year. So again, it all depends. Like girls are young, they're like just going to be right up to size. I don't know if they're going to go, but we could potentially have up to 5 clutches for sunset clowns and 3 clutches for sunset ultramels.
Holy smokes, man. Good for you.
Yeah. So we'll see. Again, they're like going to be right on the, if they go, they're probably going to go late in the year. Like, because they're all like 1,000, 1,200 grams now. And they all turn 2 years old, like the beginning of summer.
Yeah. Yeah. That first year of timing it always seems so far away, man. I know, but well, good luck. If you hit 4 clutches instead of 8 of them, that's still magnificent, man. That'd be incredible.
Yep. So for shout out to Shannon from Green Dragon Brokers. One of the clutches of the Sunset Clowns is pairing our Clown Het Sunset to his Cinnamon Double Het Sunset Clown female. So that one will be a split clutch. I'm super, super excited about that one. And she had went last year. So that's the one I'm probably most confident will end up going. And then we have 4 Double Het girls that we had produced, Double Het Sunset Clowns that we had produced that should be up to size. We'll see if they go or not. And then 3 Double Het Sunset Ultramale girls that we had produced. So
amazing. That's cool. All right. Good luck. Double visuals, sunsets, and prove the Dinker. Those are good.
Prove whether they're genetic or not. Like that's all we want to go. Like,
right. Yeah. You just need to know if it's worth continuing to work or not. Hope it's that would be the craziest non-genetic look. I think your bigger concern is going to end up being, is it something that already exists, or is it a combo that against incredible unlikely odds produced in the wild? Yeah.
So what, like, let's just say, in your opinion, like the animal that we showed like the baby pictures of, let's say that we produce the animal, it proves out, we don't make any combos and all that stuff yet, but it like proves out that it is genetic. We send in a panel test to RGI and it comes back that it's negative for every gene that they can test for. How do you feel like that if you were somebody who is like not in the project and you heard about that, you'd be like, oh, would that in your opinion be enough proof to be like, that is a new gene and it is proven genetic?
Yeah, prove is such a hard word, but yes, in short, yes, I would take it very, very seriously. And then I would be, what's the thing in court? Like there's suddenly a preponderance of, there's a preponderance of evidence that this is pretty likely. That's what I would go with. Yes.
Yeah. So that's what I hope. Like that's best case scenario is that we prove that it is genetic through breeding and we can prove it's not Orange Dream, Inchi, or any other morph that is testable through genetic testing.
Yeah. Yeah. And to Jennifer at High-Vis point, there's a lot of tests. There's a lot of genes not on the panel, but again, you start leaning towards, all right, this is now something I'm taking. This is more likely than not. And I'm going to start assuming that there's probably, until it's proven to not be, it probably is kind of thing would be my feeling. One man's opinion on that.
Yep.
I would be remiss. They don't sponsor the show, but Cold Blooded Cafe is running an incredible sale right now. I ordered, actually my order will be here tomorrow. I ordered yesterday myself. They're running like 30 to 40% off. The rodents landed, I ordered everything from fuzzies to mediums, and landed with shipping. Everything was under $2 a rodent. I mean, it's a pretty good time to stock up your freezer. Promo code proper11, you're going to get 11% off on that. All right, my number 4 is I'm loving. Let me back up a little bit here. The community aspect, the social media aspect, it ties into marketing and makes things viable, but it also, look, there's 56 of us hanging out here right now, and we're just talking about goals with snakes. Like, it's a really, really cool thing. And it's done. Yes, it does lead back to being good for my business, but it also just fulfills me personally. It's a really incredible thing that I'm fortunate enough to be a part of. So my number 4 goal focuses on those ideas. And one thing that I've come to really enjoy and appreciate is the Patreon community. And I'm not going to turn this into an advertisement for my Patreon, other than to say, I like that community. It means a lot to me. They're very, very active. And I feel great because the way that it's structured is that people's fees go back to them in the form of store credit. So I get this community that I get to be a part of, that I don't feel a need to be like this like guru leader. I just participate with them, and they build a bank. And if they thought that they were going to buy a snake from me, or there's people that have said, hey, if I buy a snake, could I join your Patreon as a payment plan? Yeah, that's great. I don't care how the money comes in. And if we can have a better community and they do business with each other, they have their own hangouts, usually with me, but sometimes in person without me. So it's been cool. So my goal, very specific goal, is to get the Patreon community up to 20 members. It's at 10 right now, and getting it to 20 in 2024 is my goal. Along with that, in the social media theme, mindset, marketing theme, I still would like to get to 4,000 subscribers on YouTube. I'm putting it back on the line. I need to make it happen. I need to take it seriously, because I put too much work into YouTube for it not to be sort of my flagship of my brand where it comes to social media. And Instagram kind of is that now, and that's okay. But the real content, the real depth, the real value is right here on YouTube. And I need to be accentuating that a little bit more. And I got away from that this year. It's what got me here, and I need to get back to doing that. Lastly, this is a pretty staggering number. And I don't, to your point earlier about how difficult it is and the work that it takes, I'm at 7 and change, 7,200 maybe on Instagram. I'd like to see that number at 10,000. And you're right. It takes the interaction. It takes putting in the work, and not just putting up the content, but interacting with the community. We could do a whole show separately on this. If you guys look on my Instagram reels, the most recent reel that I posted, more views than I've ever gotten in my life, Steven. 1.4 million.
That's awesome.
I got into the organic million club.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
I got 3 subscribers. It didn't explode.
What was the reel like?
It was a pied shedding, and I was just holding it up. I was holding up the shed while it shed slowly. But what I found, because I said, how can this be? How can I possibly have 1.4 million views, not get any real growth, any real further traction, which is yet to be seen, because it does have my logo on the reel. So it keeps my brand out there, keeps me, front of mind and all that. What I found was it got about 200,000 views on Instagram, and it got 1.2 million views on Facebook. It got fed over to Facebook. And for some reason, it didn't attach to my, I didn't see an explosion on Facebook either. I can't find it on Facebook. I can't find it attached to my account on Facebook. It's just being I think it says recommended on Facebook rather than posted to Proper Royals. So it's getting the plays, and thank God I slapped my logo on it before I put it out there. But it did not grow my Instagram account, even from having a 1.4 million view. So I got the neat number, and I get to say I have a million.
Yeah, that's super cool. That's awesome. Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. It just didn't do anything, So, so it's going to be a challenge, but I'd like to see myself get to 10,000 on Instagram, 4,000 on YouTube, and 20 Patreon members in the community. That's what I'd like. That's my number 4 goal.
That's awesome. Hell yeah. No, that's super cool. We've never gotten a video with 1 million. I think our most was like 450,000 or something. So hell yeah, get it.
Yeah, I thank you. I think my other biggest one was like 160 or something, which is huge. But yeah, that one you could just like refresh and it was 10, 20, 30. Yeah, you're like, oh my gosh, here it goes.
That's super cool. So it is goal number 3 that we're
number three. Yeah.
All right, so our number 3 goal is also geared towards like community and whatnot. And this is to have some kind of like get together. And our honorable mention kind of ties into the community as well. Again, we very much think that it is important to be active and a member of the community and not just like putting out your own content, but like making connections, building friendships, building relationships, and introducing people to other people. Because I think when we were getting into the hobby, and I think this happens with a lot of new breeders, it almost feels like it's like a club that the doors are closed to you, and everybody seems to already know each other, and everybody already seems to be friends, and that it's really hard. It's almost like you're the weird kind of kid standing outside the party. And one thing that we really want to do with like the get together or just community aspect is kind of show that welcomingness and bring people and like introduce people to various other aspects of the community, other people within the community. So
I think it's fantastic. And I think, probably maybe even more than anybody, but that's always been sort of at the core of my heart of, I can't stand snobbery. I don't think, insiders and outsiders and us and them is acceptable. And I don't think it's healthy. And so I love hearing that. And I think I need to take a page from your book. I think I need to do that up here in Minnesota as well.
Yeah, I most likely, if we end up doing it, it's probably going to be at Daytona because I feel like that's the best place. It's the best hangout for like any show. There's the show itself. The hotels are right there. There's plenty of space outside to like just hang out. I think that Daytona is probably going to be the best one, and not like an official thing, but like an informal, like at some point, like we're going to be out there Friday night starting at this time. So if you want to come by and just meet people, come on, like kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'd like to do, I'd like to go to that first. I had a plan in Jacksonville where there was a pub with a private room, and then there was a hotel across the street. And I had it in the works where I was going to get one of the hotel suites so a couple people could set up and vend or display if they wanted to, but we'd still have the hangout place over at the pub. Then I wouldn't have to clean up the house. I wouldn't have to feed people. I wouldn't have to play host. At least in my own house, I could play host at the pub and let them deal with, the drinks and the food and all of that. So if I could find a place in Minneapolis or St. Paul like that, I would do it. And I would love to host a get together. That would be a blast, man.
All right. What's your number 3?
My number 3, I can't believe I'm even writing or saying something like this. Again, like if you told me this even 2 years ago, I would have been like, I don't know, man. I'm probably going to have to find a different avenue or path. My goal is to produce 3 different, and they could be individual snakes, but I don't mean they've got to be different. So it would have to come from at least 3 clutches and be different combinations. I want to produce 3 different double visuals this year.
All right, get it.
I get excited even thinking I could say that out loud as like, hopefully people know me well enough. I might be crazy, but I try and back up what I say. So I have the potential to produce this year axanthic clowns, ultramel clowns, hypo clowns, axanthic pieds, and dreamsicles. So that's 5 different double visual combos. I want 3. I want some version of those 3. And it's very long odds. A couple of them are double het to double het. Most of them are double het to visual het. So even most of them at best are 1 and 8 on each of those pairings. And to your point about sometimes you can't control the luck, I get it. Still my goal. That's what I'm after. That is, it'll be fantastic. And hopefully that'll trickle down into sales as well, but it'll be incredible building blocks. That's the kind of caliber of stuff where I'm going to go, I don't care if it sells or not, man. That's just artillery for the future, if not. So I'm very excited for that. So that's my number 3 is 3 different double visuals.
No, that's awesome. Also, because you had mentioned the sales, Courtney had given me the notes with.
Cool. I'm very interested in that.
Yes. So we had done like about $42,000 in gross sales. And there's 2 different numbers on here that are like important. So our average individual sale across everything was $730 per animal. But
good for you. That
is very, very strongly being influenced by those like massive sales that went on. We probably with those like $3,000-5,000 sales, and then we also had some other couple $1,000 sales and various other stuff. So if you don't look at the average, if you look at the median of our sales, the median was actually $275. So when you're taking out the outliers, like there's so much of that value is coming from realistically 5 to 10 animals. Like,
yeah, I want to dig in on that because I think it's important. Immediate, and this is a testament to your marketing. Immediately when you talked about sales, somebody asked what percentage of those were sunsets. And the mentality, I'm sure, not of that person, I'm not putting any words in anybody's mouth. The mentality that came to my mind was, yeah, you sell, 10, 12 sunsets. There you go. You're at your number and it gets done. But what was the median? You said two and change?
275.
275. So you're selling to a wide spectrum of buyers. There's side. What do we call it? The not the misses, but the
byproduct. But for us,
the byproduct,
yeah. For us, I would say it's mostly like we make clutches that are specifically pet clutches. Like a clutch is in the incubator right now, and it's 7 eggs, and they're all bells. It's bells and potions, every single one. Like we make clutches specifically to sell to pet owners that we believe will be in demand to pet owners because they crushed it at local shows.
Mm-hmm. I agree. So in that light of the average and the median, which I appreciate you doing very, very much. One other point of clarification. Did you do any sort of significant wholesale sales this year? Nothing. Okay. So nothing tanking it either. Nothing. You wasn't like you had 12 $4 snakes either. Okay.
Nope.
All right. My average was $405.48. And interestingly, my median, I did not vary much from it. My median was 425. So 405 and 425. So I'm averaging right around $400 per sale on a snake. And I'll bring it back up because again, one of my goals is gross revenue. So I'll recap last year's gross revenue and we'll look at the median and average sales. So again, on the context to people that are thinking, hey, Adam and Steven, they're talking about sunsets and double visuals. Well, these guys are just it must be nice to just unload sunsets and double visuals and get rich. A, I'm not getting rich, and B, it's not that. There's a whole lot more to it for sure.
Yep. It is. It's really interesting. I believe that, and this is like, I know a slight difference in like philosophy. I believe that it is much easier to sell high-end snakes online, but it's only going to be that way if people trust you and they know who you are anyway. Like if you're going to be getting somebody to send you $5,000 online and they have to really trust you.
Right. They got to know you. Yeah.
At local shows, it is significantly easier, in my opinion, to sell more inexpensive pet level animals. Like you can sell 10, 20, 30 animals in a single show that are all less than $300. Like that's a good show for us, at least.
Hell yeah, it's a good show. You're 4 to 6 grand
Yeah.
in an afternoon, kicking snakes, hanging out. Yeah, sign me up. I'll take it.
So what I personally, my like advice, my thoughts are, I think that if somebody wants to do it full time as like a small breeder, in order to hit the income levels, I think that you got to work towards the high end. That doesn't mean you have to do it right away, but you got to work towards the high end. Otherwise, you're going to get crushed on feeding cost and time to take care of the animals. But if you don't have a brand, it's way easier to sell a $300 bell at a local show than it is to sell a Het Sunset online when nobody knows who you are.
I agree completely, and I think we're not kicking the snakes. Yeah, I know we're kicking it with snakes. I'm like the hip dad with no hair back here. Yeah.
Courtney gave some statistics in there, by the way. For our sales, it was 52% of the revenue went to other breeders, 22% went to pet owners, 17% went to potential breeders.
There you go. I was going to try and give you an out and say, those are really big overlaps. A pet owner might eventually become a breeder or a hobby breeder, but you guys have your breakdown. There you go, right there.
Yeah.
I have no idea what my breakdown like that would be.
Yeah, the way that we go about this is if we know they are a breeder, we just like mark them as a breeder. Like if it's like, oh, this is somebody else's breeding Instagram and they reach out, they're a breeder. Doesn't matter if they had a clutch yet or not. They're a breeder. They're positioning themselves as a breeder.
Okay.
The people for pet owners are like, no, this is my first snake. I'm just going to have one. Are you guys interested in breeding? If they say they're interested in breeding and they might get other stuff, then they go into the potential breeder category.
Got it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll add that to my spreadsheet. I certainly love them. So, well, cool. All right. Where are we at? We're at number 2 for you.
Yes. All right. So number 2 for us, this one kind of ties into the documentary of last year. So the documentary I was super, super proud of. I think that it was a really, really big success for us and just hopefully a lot of other people in the community. And I am stoked about the reception to it. So one of the things that went with it is that the scope of it was a little bit bigger than what I wanted for our first one, just because we were traveling all over the country. So we are going to make the scope even bigger, apparently, for our next one. But the only thing on this is that and I'm going to put this on a caveat on it. We are probably I'm not planning on completing everything for what I'm about to say in 2024. It'll probably be sometime in 2025 when it releases, but we are going to be doing a documentary mini-series throughout this year. We're going to be going around and recording footage and stuff with different people. So March Tinley, we're going to be heading down a couple days beforehand. We're going to be following and documenting Verite style Bob Vu and his crew getting ready for Tinley, traveling up to Tinley, vending Tinley, all of the stuff after Tinley, things like that. And we're also going to be getting a lot of stories from Bob on coming into the business. And realistically, Bob wasn't in when the whole ball python craze started. He got in 10, 15 years after it did. And he's done such amazing things since then and has become one of the top players in the hobby. So that's one episode we're going to be doing. We're going to be following some other people around Patrick and Andre from Chimera, Troy from Best Dressed Balls, Brock Wagner, Corey DeLong. There's various people that we've talked where some people are like, yes, this is the exact date and we know when we're going out there. Other people have said yes, I really want to be a part of it, but we haven't nailed down dates yet. So in case Billy watches this, Billy, we got to get on the phone. We've talked on it in messages, but we actually got to get on the phone and nail down the dates that we're coming up there. So,
well, I think it's amazing. And I think there's such a value to dreaming big and to going after stuff. It speaks a little bit to, I'll only speak for myself. It speaks a little bit to the resources that I have, the life that I've lived, and sort of whatever little wealth or whatever it might be that we can afford to dream big. To be able to say, hey, we're just going to jet off on a weekend to go to Tinley and follow somebody around, or hey, I talked to my tax guy and he said spend $7,000 on a rat endeavor. I've worked towards that and I've gotten there. But on the other hand, dreaming big is where we make things happen. And to undertake what you did with the documentary last year is phenomenal, because big things come from dreaming big. That's how they get big. Like, it takes people dreaming it and going and doing it. So I think it's amazing, and I'm so happy for you guys. That's going to be a cool concept, I think. It feels like it's going to get out of hand. Like, are with each of those people, are you are you doing one show, or are you going to do multiple shows following them?
For Bob, or
like exactly? Bob, you said Troy.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah. So we'll be doing, some of them will be shows, some of them may be like going out and doing different, like some of them are shows, some of them aren't. But we'll kind of figure out like what the plot line and storyline is for each person that's like relevant to their brand and their story. And it might be a little bit of like their origin. Sometimes it might not be so much about like their origin, but like Bob's, it's going to be very focused on like Tinley is going to be the plot line, like how. And we'll figure all that stuff out. So we don't have all of them outlined right now, but we have some notes in this notebook over here on like potential plot lines, and we'll see how it goes naturally. So,
right.
But we anticipate each of the episodes being between like 30 minutes and an hour. And once we're going to wait till we get them all done for everybody before we release them. And then once we release them, it'll be like once a week they come out as like a mini series.
I forgot they were episodic. That's right. That's right. Okay. I got you.
Yeah.
Upstate New York's morphs kind of encapsulated my thoughts. Yeah. This is you're quitting your day job because this is going to be crazy. Yeah. Talk about the logistics. What do you do on that? Yeah.
Yeah. So the actual like hard goal for 2024 is I want to be able to record the footage for 4 of them. So that's essentially 4 trips throughout this. I feel like that the mini series it all depends on what we have available, like, and stuff like that. But I'd like to have a minimum of 5 episodes, probably max 10. We wouldn't do any more than 10.
Gotcha.
But if we can record 4 during 2024, that's essentially one go do film footage once a quarter. I feel like that's actually pretty doable.
I think so too. Yeah. Yeah. When you frame it in that context, and it becomes a long lasting, I mean, that well gets pretty deep, or can get pretty deep if you want it to. That could be a long lasting project, especially if you built the audience around it, which you will. You already have, I think.
Hopefully. But yeah, so that's one I'm excited about. That's our marketing goal for this year.
Okay. The documentary series I'm going to put. And my number 2 in light of that seems just kids play. I really wanted to put some pressure on myself. So I wanted to get really specific on this media goal. I want to do 1 traditional YouTube video per month. I don't think that's too much. And I think it'll keep me from burning out as well. I got a little burnt out 9-10 months ago. And I just was like, I don't have any exciting content swirling in my head. And I had other things I was excited about, whether it be the webcams with Patreon. Obviously my life got busy and I decided to move to Minnesota, all of that stuff. But I want to get back to, and I really want to, when I was doing once a week, I was putting so much effort into it, but there were points where I was like, all right, it's good enough. Just press publish and just be done with it. I think 1 a month will give me the time to really say, these are good topics. These are intriguing topics. If you want to put in more, graph displays or charts or B-reel, or, hey, there's a whole thing you skipped over. Why don't you get out there and refilm that, Adam? It'll give me the freedom and the ability to do that correctly. So 1 traditional YouTube video per month coming up 2024. That's that goal.
Hell yeah. I'm excited. I really like your traditional YouTube videos. I like the lives too, obviously, but I love being able to see, here is a video on a topic and it's edited so where every single second of it is like real meat.
Right.
And I like the traditional YouTube videos a lot.
Yep, I agree with you. And that actually was a goal I always told myself. I was like, no filler. I mean, even dead air, ands, I even get rid of all that. It's just straight through. So anyway, thank you for that encouragement. I'm looking forward to it. That needs to come back. I built too much here on YouTube to take that for granted and go away from that.
Eric has a question, which I think can apply to both of us, honestly. So back when you were doing it, and then I'll answer like for ourselves too, like how long does it usually take you to do a video start to finish? Like the time recording it until you actually are completely done editing it and you're just have uploaded it to YouTube?
Usually, and I'll include the upload time because I put all the SEO stuff in there, and I do all the tags and the details for YouTube. I would say that I usually planned it to be somewhere between 6 to 8 hours, and sometimes the long ones they would drag out to 12 hours of work for me.
Yeah, I think it's about the same for us. Like we might, if I am able to go out and record something and get it in like a take or two, and I'm really good at it, so then the editing is going to be less. Maybe it's 30 minutes of recording and then the editing maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours, because like we'll put in B-roll and we'll do like all of those different editings. We'll do sound design in all the videos now. So yeah, I would say like the absolute minimum is like 2 to 3 hours, but most of the time it's probably between like 4 to 6. And the one that we put out today, actually, that we used a 2-camera setup, and that took, I forgot because I haven't been using 2-camera setups for a while. So much more editing, That probably, I actually had to break that over 2 days. I also sucked when I was trying to record it. I kept messing up. I probably did 50 takes. And that one was a beast. That one probably took me 8 hours to edit.
Some of my problem was the longer that I did YouTube, the higher my own personal standards got. So doing a 6 or 7 minute video, my style is this almost neurotic deep dive, pick everything apart. Well, that's not going to cut it in 7 minutes. So then it would become this pick apart thing. But just sitting here talking, it's one thing when you can interact and chat in the podcast live. But in a video, you don't want to just see my face running my mouth for 20 minutes. So it's demonstrative, it's setting up scenes, it's having that B-reel. So that all started to, that's when I would say my average video was around 20 to 25 minutes that was taking me 6 to 8 hours to do.
Yep. I love it. I personally find it super fun though. I like editing it. I know Courtney does too. She's the one who did the initial edit on the Super Neala Clown video, and it's probably one of my favorite videos that we've made. I think that the story that she did in it was just awesome. Like, and 2023, that'd be pretty good actually. Yeah. Like
I have one that actually I started a blooper file, and I've even got like a 4-minute video of just all the uhs that I took out. It's just me going,
But yeah, like it is, especially when it comes to reels too, because I also like editing the reels. When we get like an idea for like a funny reel, Courtney and I will like fight over who gets to edit it. Like, because we'll both want to be the one to put it together. Because like, in my opinion, the editing process is where like the video really comes alive.
I was just, well, and there's an art to it. I mean, there's the science and the job of editing, the task of it, but there's an art to it too.
100%. But yeah, that was a really great question, Eric, by the way. So,
all right, we got 17 minutes on the clock. I promised my son I would put him to bed by 9, and my wife isn't feeling well, so she's already gone to bed. And an 11-year-old on a school night unattended, he can't be trusted. So, but we could do this. We each have our number ones. So the number one goal for you for 2024, what is it? How are you going to do it?
All right, overall, become profitable. So
okay.
Yep. So we have
break that apart because there's so many loaded words in there. Okay, go for it.
Yep. So we have spent literally for everything. That is putting up a rodent, or not the rodent shed, the snake shed. This is Gast going to Tinley. This is literally everything because we track all of it because we like report on taxes. We've spent about $110,000 across 4 years. Not quite 4 years. Starting Leviathan snakes. We have made a little bit more than $70,000 back. If we do another $40,000 a year plus whatever we actually end up spending this year, we will be we'll break even. We'll break even or be profitable overall.
Good for you. I gotta tally mine up because this is a perfect demonstration of there's different ways to get to a certain place. And you can do it in different ways and different styles. And I'm sorry. So how much how profitable would you need to be this year
if we
for
didn't
that to come to light?
If we didn't spend a dime more, if we made another $40,000, we would be in the black. But we are planning on doing, like, we're going to put up another rodent shed, and we are going to surely buy snakes this year. Courtney may not want to, but I'm sure we're going to. And if we buy any, like, more photography equipment, things like that. I know we're going to have more expenses, but right now, if we didn't have any more expenses, we need $40,000 more to be, like, have made all of the money that we've put in back, and then actually be making a profit.
Gotcha. All right. I'm totaling up mine. I won't have the totals for what I've spent, but I have the pluses and negatives at the end of the last years here for us right now. Coming up. That's my drum roll sound. Okay, so in the first 2020, 2021, and 2022, the first 3 years, the very first year, I spent $6,100 and had no revenue, so $6,100 total. The next 2 years, I ran a loss of $1,500 and $1,500, so $3,000. So $6,000, $9,000 I was in the hole heading into this year. And my final number, it looks like this year is going to be at 7,300 profitable. And again, that's with moving, building this room, building a rodent operation, and some pretty heavy duty social media investments this year. So I'm heading into 2024. I'm about $1,700 in the hole.
There you go.
Maybe the show this weekend, I will pop into the Forever Black.
There you go.
So there's different ways to get there. And I would love it. I would love it at the end of this year for both cheersing to be lifetime profitable, and we hit these crazy goals we're both talking about doing this year. Do you have a total revenue goal for this year that you're hoping for that you want to share, or not yet?
I honestly don't. The kind of revenue goal was like the profitability lifetime type thing.
Gotcha.
So realistically, I would say the revenue goal is going to be like $40,000 plus whatever we spend this year. So we might.
So you want to be profitable $40,000. So you probably need
no, not profitable $40,000. I mean, like if we can bring in $40,000, that way we can like break even total, because that'd be $110,000 in revenue versus $110,000 out. And then whatever we spend this year, like if we spend, let's say, another $30,000 this year, to make that as well. So that way, at the end of the year, we are actually still profitable. Not like we were profitable and then we spent a bunch of money.
No, I know what I'm saying. So that means within the year this year, you need to be $40,000 profitable. 2024, you need to be 40,000. Okay, so you probably need to do 70, 75 to make that happen, right? I mean, you're going to have overhead, snakes you purchase, all that kind of thing.
Yeah, 100% on that. Yes, I apologize. I misunderstood. So yeah, that's probably what we'll have to end up doing realistically for it. And again, it really depends on clutches. It depends on odds. It depends on luck, the market, all of that stuff. But if we can hit some cool Sunset Clown combos, some cool Sunset Ultramel stuff, like there's a chance. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure Gavin just sold like a Sunset Ultramel. I don't 100% know, but I'm pretty sure that they were listed for like $25,000 or $30,000, and that was this season. So let's say next year they're at 15 or 20,000.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and with the caliber stuff you're kicking out, that's.
But again, the odds are super long, so it really depends on like. But if we can get,
and will you let it go?
If we only have one, no. But if
right,
we had
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Like,
right. Okay, so a couple quick questions. Courtney answered one from you all's perspective. Talado Exotics says, "How do you earn much through YouTube?" That can be a complicated question. On the surface, no, I agree. Courtney said between 100 and 150 a month. That's generally what my payout is as well. You have to get to the minimum of $100 to get a payout in a month. So I don't get that every month, but then some months I'll get a payout of like $212, where I like, had a big month is $212 on YouTube. However, and Stephen and I have taken wildly different paths on this. If you could build an audience, you can leverage that audience. So my advertising revenue is big part of my income. So in that light, yes, I can make money on YouTube, but purely from Google, who owns YouTube, yeah, 100 to 200 a month. Pretty much always, no more, no less usually. And then somebody asked a really great question. I got to find it. Yeah. Do you set these alone or with your significant other? I personally, I set the big picture goals with Kelly. She trusts me enough to know that I care enough about money that I'm going to find a way to, break even or not have this hurting us. And then the big picture goals. So like this year I've budgeted. So I do share the budget with her. I'm totally transparent on that with her, but I budgeted about $10,000 in rack purchases this year. And we discussed a lot whether I should just build racks, particularly for the rodents. And we decided that for longevity as well as efficiency, I can't build a rack that's as space efficient as, say, a Freedom Breeder is. I have an 8x10 shed. I need to max out what I can do in there. So I do talk with her about that. And then, there's the bigger picture of our livelihoods and our own life goals. So I talk a lot to her about that. As far as producing double visuals, or she doesn't. I mean, she cares if the money comes in, but otherwise she doesn't care about that. So yes and no on the big picture, the macro stuff I do. All right, Stephen, my number one goal for 2024 is to do $74,000 gross revenue in 2024. In 2023, my goal stated in the last show was to do $45,000 in total revenue. And I ended the year at $54,834 in revenue.
Awesome. That's awesome. Hell yeah.
Thank you. It was $49,874 of animal revenue and $4,960 of other revenue. So that could be t-shirts, dry goods, advertising, Patreon, all of that. So 54,000 that I did just this year. Man, I'm losing my voice. I've been talking so excitedly this episode. The breakdown for 2024 that I have set up as a goal for myself, $58,870 in snake revenue. There's a point where these numbers get scary and I'm there. Like 58 grand is a massive number to tell myself, hey, dude in the mirror, this is what you're going to say you're going to do. So it's not a huge jump from basically 50,000 in 2023 snake revenue to 58,000. It's about a 16% jump, which is actually still significant, but I've been producing year over year about a 300% increase the past couple of years. I'm a little bit just scared of the big number. So to say, well, why don't you just do a 50% increase this year, Adam? You'll still do, this 75,000 in snakes number. That's really scary. So I've hedged it a little bit on that. Secondly, I don't know what people are still skittish about the market, and I'm generally optimistic. I'm generally bullish. I think there's opportunity when other people are getting out, and I still am seeing that. I also am hearing people say, whether the metrics back it up or not, times are hard. There's no extra money. Don't have enough to go to the grocery store. Gas is expensive. I'm still seeing an incredibly high demand for payment plans, which I'm happy to do. However, I think it's indicative that people don't have a whole lot of money on hand to blow on fun luxury stuff. So I've hedged my numbers some on that. The non-snake revenue and non-rodent revenue. So merch, dry goods, and advertising / brand revenue. I've got that at 5,136. Again, almost flat. That I should beat that number. I should go higher on that. What is new and what is a high number is 10,000 on rodent revenue. and I have myself forecast by April to start making rodent money and to peak on, or to plateau on rodent money by August, and then have that fall off just a little bit come October, November, and December, because my hatchlings will be at the highest production level at that point. So $74,006 is my total budget for 2024. And the question that everybody always asks, well, what will you make on that? Including about $10,000 of capital investment in the form of racks and renovations, I still think I will make $29,716 on all of that. So there's the goal. There's the snapshot for this year.
That's awesome. Hell yeah. Get it, man. That's super cool. I definitely think that, again, I would say for anybody who's watching who is like newer and whatnot, hearing like numbers like $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 in snake sales, it sounds like a lot. It is so much work that goes into it, and there's no guarantee. There are so many people who come in, breed a bunch of animals, and that they struggle. Like, it isn't, don't think that it's just easy, like, is what I would say. Not that anybody in here thinks that, but in case anybody's watching this in the future or anything like that.
Yeah, and that it's important to know that, and it is a lifestyle to live, but it's fun, man. I'm having a good time, and I like figuring out businesses, and this is a way that I can do this. I also would refer people back to what I said in my very first year. Now, 6,000 is no small chunk of change either, but 6,000 is what I spent in my very first year to lead up to this. So you don't have to have 50 or 100 grand, and don't. It's hard, man, but all of us need to get over the competition. What do you call it? The comparison trap. Oh, so-and-so has this and I only have this, so I'm not succeeding. You don't know what that person did to get that, or what you can do with the resources that you have yourself. Don't worry about that. Make your own path and learn what's going on around you. But it can be done in a variety of ways. And I'm so happy we're both still sitting here right now at this point in our journey together, man. It's super cool.
No, I'm stoked for it. I think it's super fun. I personally think that since like we started, I think I initially got interested by seeing how well Courtney was doing on the marketing efforts, and I just really like marketing. And now I feel like that, while I still really like marketing, it is, if I could buy every single snake that I see, and I'm like, it's hard not to treat it like a business all the time. Sometimes it's just like, I just want this because I want to make something cool. Like,
yeah. Well, and I think I'll make some analogies. Every chef I've ever worked with has had his own little side project, whether he's making his own house cheese or whether he wants to have his own herb and mushroom garden, or he's inoculating logs to grow his own mushrooms on. Winemakers in Napa, big famous winemakers, big wineries, right under the stairs. Oh, don't touch that. That's the winemaker's own private project. Like, you gotta be able to have a little bit of passion and art and hobby that go into it as well. I would warn people from a true business stance, you should have your hobby and your business stuff separate, but physically separate. And it's not always feasible when you need an atmosphere and an atmospheric temperature, but you could get distracted and waste time and money if you don't. But that's another episode. That's a content for another show. Steven, take us home, man. So we started with a really big esoteric question of how did you think 2023 went versus what your goals were? What do you think the overall outlook for the market, the industry? What should people look out for this year?
I don't know, obviously. Like, we're January 3rd, we're 3 days into it. For whatever reason, I don't really have data to back this up, but for whatever reason, like, my gut is feeling more optimistic about 2024 than I did about, at least towards the end of 2023. I feel like things have been picking up. I've been hearing about more people getting into the breeding hobby. I've been like, I don't know, people are buying stuff again. I think that I don't know if everybody pays attention a whole lot to like the consumer price index or anything, but 2021 to 2022, or maybe it's 2020 to 2021, it was like 6 or 7% interest. Then it was like 8 or 9% interest. 2023, like 2022 to 2023, it was only 3.1% interest, which that doesn't mean that prices went back down, but that means that they stopped their insane climb high. And if they can chill,
inflation, not an interest. Inflation.
Yeah,
yes.
inflation.
Correct.
Yes,
that's right.
inflation.
That's
my
right.
bad. Yeah. So if they can hold steady, and if like it can stay around the 2 to 3% inflation, which is about what they target,
That's right.
then, and it can stay by this the whole throughout 2024, I feel like that hopefully people will adjust to the current economy, and by the end of 2024, it might not be COVID days, but that it is not, things are looking better and people aren't as scared. That's the kind of vibe that I'm feeling. Maybe I'm being optimistic.
I agree with you, and I will give some data to back it up. You're exactly right on the consumer price index. One major thing that is going to be different or predicted to be different that we have some data for is that the Fed has announced that they anticipate making 3 rate cuts rather than rate hikes. I don't want to get into the economic theories of why that's good and bad or what that, but that should reflect that inflation is slowing down and they don't feel the need to slow down the booming inflation economic impacts. They feel that the economy is stabler to run on its own a little bit easier with an easier flow of money. Lower interest means easier flow of money. Just think about trying to get a house loan right now. The second thing, the stock market and the Dow Jones and the S&P both finished up handsomely at around 20+% for 2023. I know not everybody deals in the stock market. I know that everybody's saying, well, that's one thing for Wall Street. What about Main Street? What usually happens is Wall Street leads the way and then Main Street follows in the next year or two. That's a historical, I guess, fact, but a historical observation that has been proven time and again. So I'm excited about that. Again, not that I wish a bad on anybody. I don't wish anybody to fail, but we see daily that people are getting out and they're done. There's going to be less concentrated product and inventory in the market and less concentrated competition in the market. That all, I believe, is factual data. I'm excited. I think that points to a healthy balance of more money in people's pockets with money flowing easier, overall a better economy with Wall Street leading the way and Main Street following, and a better balance in producers and consumers in our industry and our market. So that's my thought. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I know we're over time, and I don't know if you want to talk about it now. Maybe this is a episode for the future or something like that. But I kind of feel like that we are at the point in 2024 now that there are like the generation of like OG breeders, and we all know who they are if they're still around, and they're like huge titans of the industry. Then there are people who got in like maybe 2010s era, and that's a different kind of breeder. And then there were like COVID breeders, essentially, like ourselves and all that stuff. I feel like that or at least I'm starting to see post-COVID breeders.
I am seeing post-COVID breeders. That's right.
There's a difference between COVID breeders and post-COVID breeders, I think.
Yeah, they're a little more down to earth and set in reality, I think. And I can say that because I was the COVID breeder that wasn't set in reality. I found the reality the very hard way. Yeah. Guys, 60 of y'all hanging out the whole way, still on here. Happy 2024 to you. I hope it's the best year ever. Go Google it, look it up. I mean this in seriousness. I hope you get rich. Look up that saying. There's a neat history behind that. I hope you get rich, whether it be material, all the other different ways, family, spiritual, all of that. Get fulfilled this year. Stephen, thank you very, very much. I'm excited to kick off the year. It always feels good kicking off the year with you, man. Awesome.
Thank you for having us, man. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. My best to Courtney. Thanks for hanging out in the chat. Courtney, you're always welcome here. I will see everybody soon. I'll be back to the normal time next week. And I've got the quick turnaround tomorrow morning if you're up and you want to have some coffee with me and Joe. Until then, thanks everybody. Happy 2024. Just joking. Here we go. Happy 2024.